reveal of the final interior of the new Volkswagen Polo, the ID Polo electric version. And this interior will also lead the way for all new Volkswagen interiors, going back to physical buttons at the steering wheel and also here in the middle console for the climate and so on. Simple design, straight, more German again. Yes, modern infotainment, but again, more things again, physical to turn and to press and so on. Everything you need to know about this interior, but also, if you have missed it lately, also about like the battery, power, exterior effects and so on. But today is the interior focus before the very final reveal of the exterior and so on. Let's directly dive into it. I'm Thomas, this is Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length, let's go. This is here this bright color scheme. There will be this scheme here where you have the bright steering wheel, for example, and dashboard and seats and so on, but there will also be a dark color scheme. Here in this case then two-tone. Is an animal-free material, feels really nice. And also here the real buttons at the steering wheel, left side for the cruise control, right side to control more in these digital instruments, for example. And they also have the logic that everything you do here on the left will be displayed on the left side of the instruments, and everything you do here on the right will be displayed on the right side. And these instruments will be very exciting. I'm soon going to give you like a close-up shot of that one, because you will also have a retro mode. First of all, this infotainment system, so it's also completely new. They have updated it that it looks, let's say, more Apple CarPlay alike already in the main menu. The home menu then with the inbuilt GPS. Here you can also access the driving modes, for example. That changes throttle input and how the steering response is. And then here, this is also then the full map, for example, climate unit. Yes, you can press and slide here. So this is possible for everyone who would prefer the touch solution. However, in the lower part here, you can change the climate physically. This is not the final build status. So this is like the first hand-built car. This will be more premium then, but the logic is clear already that you press down here, press up, and also here then for the fan speed. This is how it will work then to control that also while not looking at the screen. So I'm really welcome this new change. And then you can also, for example, here slide this one down and then go to the retro mode. And then here on the right side, it switches to the tape deck. And it's very cool when you play the music, for example. And also here some retro elements taken from the Golf 1. And left side soon also to the instruments. This will be one of the highlights here in this vehicle. But I will have like a very separate segment on that. It's really worth it. Also physical input here with this volume knob. You can press or play, and then also louder, less. In the front, this is not the final material here in the very front. So this is like the uncovered. There will be like a proper cover with good material on it. Inductive charging pad left, right side just to put the phone. And you will also be able to put your smartphone here actually, like this, upright, and then you can put a cable from underneath. There's like a hole for that one. Remember, they may say CLA, and then there are two USB-C chargers in the lower part, and also more space again. This is probably how the other area will look like here from this surfacing. Then cup holders, they are not adaptive here in this case here, as it seems. Classic Volkswagen key, not sure if there will be another new one. Then also nice, we have fabric coverings at the inside of the middle console. It's also soft underneath. This is also where they paid attention to, and that's really cool. Together here with the fabric on the dashboard. Once again, the black one is also possible. Then you have another insert right here, decoy element, and also fabric on the dashboard. This looks like a soundbar. However, this optional Harman Kardon sound system, which they have here, is not a soundbar. It's a classic sound system with a lot of speakers, and this will be the top-end Harman Kardon sound system. And then here we have also soft for your elbow with the high-grade leatherette, and underneath there's a lot of space actually. So that's that's actually pretty cool. And then we come to the headroom. There we go. And this is the one with the panoramic roof. Still some headroom left with 189. But of course, there's more to show you than with the seats and also what this optional roof can do. And here, by the way, the ambient lighting, I can switch through some colors. You can see it's a very subtle integration, so you don't see the light strip itself, but rather the projection, and this looks really premium. And here we have these door handles, close, open. We know them from the Volkswagen T-Roc, and here you can open it like this. There's also like a nice metal knurling here in the front, so this is more premium even than in the T-Roc. It's like, yeah, and you can also push it open like this, no problem. And also 4 window levers. Glad to have them, not 2 anymore, like in the old ID models or like in the Mercedes CLA, honestly. And this one, yeah, they say this is like the natural movement when you do it like this and not like here or like this or something. And you could also use like the Dutch grab here with your right hand and open it like this. And the inside of the door is also nicely covered with fabric here, also with another Volkswagen badge. This is also really soft touch when you touch it in, just the very top here. This is then hard pack. And here we are with the digital instruments, but first of all, one more perspective here on the buttons, and they really sound also nice when you click them through like this. Heated steering wheel button is here also. And then we go here with the digital instruments, and I love this retro view, and I've already driven this one here, and the left side is the speed, right side then the power meter, also for the recuperation and so on. This is really cool. You can switch back here to this more modern view, or you can also have assistance system view or a full map view. So this is then all possible. Yeah, I honestly prefer this one. It's just so cool. And then once again with the retro mode here with the tape deck that you can also run actually in this retro mode, and here in the Golf 1 styling, so really taking over the ideas from the Golf 1. And if you haven't done so far, please don't forget to subscribe to see all the new car reveals. And now thoroughly about the seats and the comfort and so on. So they would have an integrated head restraint, but you can also move it up like this for height adjustment. This is also here the style seat. So the base fabric seat would be more simple and also wouldn't have the shoulder accentuations. The style seat mid-trim already has these shoulder accentuations, fabric on the inside, high-grade leatherette on the outside, in this case the two-tone scheme, but a pure black one, or let's say more grayish black in the interior and black on the exterior would also be available. Isofix already here on the front seat, 2 more in the back seats, and is also plush in the seating, so you have good shoulder support, as I said, here in the upper area. That takes off some weight of the lumbar area. There's also lumbar support. There's even seat massage with lumbar support going in and out. And it's also comfortable to sit here as a tall adult, also with the sit bone area and so on. So really good comfort, although it's a tiny vehicle. Steering wheel also up and down, in and out. Oh, nice. I activate the heated steering wheel, so now it's warm. Thank you for that. And then here, the headroom, still some space left. And here then, this is the optional glass roof. So the base would be a fixed roof. Might be good for like very hot summers and so on. However, this one you cannot open, but you can close the shade. That is possible. So when it's really hot, but you still want this glass roof basically in, then this one is of course, yeah, maybe also better for sound insulation at high speeds on the motorway. VMAX is, by the way, 175 kilometers an hour, 110 miles per hour. And the horsepower range is between 116 for the entry-level version, small battery, up to 226 horsepower for the GTI version. And the strongest non-GTI would be 211 horsepower, always front-wheel drive. The GTI will also get an electromechanical front differential lock for even more like performance out of the corners. But we have already driven this car in the camouflage paint and so on. So if you have missed that episode, you can also watch that one earlier. You can watch that one later. Because the driving was really intense. It's really precise how you can put this car here into the corners. So although it is like the weight is more like with the battery in comparison to the combustion engine Polo, this one here is 1.6 tons. With that larger battery, it's still great in the driving. And before we get to the rear seats, let me just quickly finish the battery specs once again. 52 kilowatt hours net for the big battery and 37 kilowatt hours net LFP then for the small battery. Most will probably go for the big battery to get the best range. 10 to 80% state of charge is then 23 minutes. The charging, 130 kilowatt DC and 11 kilowatt AC. driver's seat here, by the way, also with a memory function for, 3 drivers. Now to the rear seats. First of all, inside of the doors, well, always hardback on the top part, no matter if front or rear doors. Then here the fabric inserts, more Harman Kardon sound system, and also at the rear you have the same door levers here, and really with a nice metal knurling, it's good quality. Yeah, even better than in the VW T-Roc, I feel. Hardback than in the inside of the doors again. And then the rear seats, here once again in this bright setup, you can also go for the black seats, the dark seats, ISOFIX on the outsides each. You have a third seat belt, so you can also have 5 people in here. Of course, the space is somewhat limited. It's nothing to fold down here. At some point, they also have to save something. And then how much space do we have here? So here, for my knees, I cannot stretch them, but it's a short vehicle, so you have to put your knees like a little bit more to the outside. So at least when I'm driving, as a tall driver. And here, for the headroom, with the version with panoramic roof, 189, 602, it still works because it's raising here again. However, they did not carry the glass roof all the way to the back. But considering, I mean, yeah, it's not too much space for the legs, but it's a short car, and the seating comfort itself is actually quite decent. The only thing, once again, in the small EVs, that you have a relatively high floor, then you have like this angle here of the legs. The floor is low, however, you can see it right here, and you also have 2 USB-C chargers here in the middle part. And another thing is here, you know, there are certain features, you know, when you look at what was the concept car, what is the real car, the really deep trunk area, soon going to show that to you. What will not make it into series production is this bench that you can fold up like this. We had it in the concept vehicle, people love that function. However, they also have to put some tech somewhere. That's why we also lost the frunk. And then they also need the space here underneath, and then it became so little that it wouldn't have making sense to have that folding function. So people loved that feature, but sadly it was not possible because, you know, the car needs technology for some, you know, modules and here and there. And then they also put some underneath the rear bench. Now to the trunk or the boot, 435 liters. And what's especially interesting here, you have this cover here, but then you can see I've been hiding my suitcase here underneath because this area here is actually so large. However, this is the version with the subwoofer. You remember, Harman Kardon sound system. So either when you do not have a subwoofer, then this is all the way free and you could put like 2 water boxes next to each other. If you have the subwoofer, it's a little bit limited. Yeah, and then maybe you have to be careful with the cables and so on. So you have to think about if you want to have the subwoofer, Harman Kardon sound system, like best sound, or if you want to even have more space underneath because it's really vast, the space here. And then you have different possibilities. You can here put this one like that. You can put this whole thing out. You can have the level position, or you can also have the lower position. That would be maybe then the thing, if you have the subwoofer, for example, that you leave it here in this lower position, and then you have even more in height. So yeah, very interesting possibilities you have with this one here. And then let's check out the rest of the trunk. You can remove the cover right here, and then we can also fold the seats. You have top tether here behind. 2/3, 1/3 split, and then you can see once again here in the lower position, or you have the level set up like this that you can easier load things through. And then I also have my ruler once again, and the width here is about 1 meter or 40 inches, maybe a little bit less. The normal length to the second seating row is here at 1 meter, it's like 46 centimeters. 64 centimeters or 25 inches. And then the total length to the seat as I'm driving, this is here then 1 meters 40 or 54 inches. And then the height is really, it depends, you know, this is then the height of 26 inches or 65 centimeters. However, if you go for the lower position, then you of course gain more in height, like here. And this is then already some 33 inches or 83 centimeters, or of course the best, I call it, it's like the IKEA planned transport situation. Then here, this is like 44 inches or 1 meter and 12. That is of course pretty massive, that you can also transport some upright things in here. And yeah, we can leave this one maybe home, or you can put it once again then like here in this position here, for example. So yeah, very flexible. And sorry again that we are not allowed to show you the car from the outside. That one is still under secrecy. this will come then at a later stage. And the towing capacity for the strongest versions will be 1.2 tons, and there will be a drawbar for like bicycle carrier with a capacity of 75 kilograms. Then about the pricing, if you haven't heard that so far, the small battery we start at 25,000 euros. The big battery then a little bit more expensive, and if you put like this big battery and some equipment on the inside, good, yeah, like the 211 horsepower version, 35,000 euros, and we expect some 38,000 euros for GTI. However, most customers will go for a leasing rate, so it will be even more exciting how the leasing rates will actually play out. What else is interesting? From the exterior, 4 meters and 5 in the length, 160 inches, 17 to 19-inch wheels. We had 19-inch wheels when we did our first test drive. Standard suspension, torsion beam in the rear. However, the torsion beam in the rear also enabled what we just saw, that you have so deep, like the trunk space in the rear. That's also very interesting. And then optional, or well, it's optional because optional the GTI. The GTI will get the adaptive suspension, the DCC, but only the GTI and not the other ones. However, we expect a fixed sport suspension, for example, with an R-line at a later stage, then to have some variety as for that. In this one here, the VW Polo, built in Martorell in Spain, together with the Cupra Raval, and the other plant will be then the ID Cross, the SUV brother, together with the Skoda Epic, their small electric SUV. So a lot of interesting things to come up there.